Hey guys, this is Mike from Dallas Geek. Brad's over somewhere behind the camera. Say hi, Brad.
Hello.
Cool, awesome. Go get your tea, Brad. Nobody cares anymore. Awesome, and we're here today with
Alan Steelman.
Awesome, great to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you.
We've got a book that we are talking about. What are we talking about today?
Okay, well, number one, I'm very proud that I just learned this week that it's made #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Congratulations. I think that's something worth bragging about a little bit. Yeah.
And frankly, I'm more proud that the message is getting out than selling books per se. We are, to segue to the theme of the book, we're in the midst of an unprecedented mental and physical health crisis. And I call this in the book Life in the ASAP lane.
Okay.
Anxious, stressed, addictive pressure. Life in the digital age has become too fast and too much for many people to cope.
Sure.
Without what I call the false wizards. I use the Wizard of Oz story that we're all familiar with to illustrate that the pace of life being too much for too many people to cope with does have an exit route. The yellow brick road, as I call it, which is our breath.
Sure.
So when you find yourself being stressed and anxious and pressured, which we all are, there's always a temptation to self-medicate with something, and it can range anywhere from pills and alcohol and other forms of illegal substances to cookies, cakes, and pies.
Sure.
So I've got a section in the book called Cookies, Cakes, Pies, or Meth. One's legal, the other is illegal. They are both doing enormous damage to our health.
Sure.
Just to illustrate, we lost more, America, to opioid overdoses last year alone than we lost in the combined wars of Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Suicide rates are soaring. America is second only to Mexico now in obesity rates. And so binge eating and other forms of substances, as I've said, are ways that too many people are using to cope, and it's being destructive to our health. So the exit route that I refer to, and that's what the message is all about, is a practice of mindfulness, which is an umbrella term for yoga and meditation. When you think about it, our first act in life is our breath, our last act in life is our breath, and in between we don't give it much thought.
Sure.
And yet, mindful breathing, when we get stressed, we tend to breathe from the chest up, what we call shallow breathing, as opposed to the deep breath from the diaphragm up and a pause and then a slow exhale. So the yellow brick road is our breath. It's our own path to our own Emerald City, to refer back to the Wizard of Oz story, and a calmer mind.
Now, this is something that seems like you're very passionate about. How long have you been, I guess, kind of speaking about this? And because I'm assuming, is this the first book that you've done on this specific subject?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long was the research into it? How much did you kind of go down into the rabbit hole, to use a metaphor, and kind of started realizing, like, whoa, like maybe this is a bigger problem than I thought?
Well, actually, it was a little bit of a journey of self-discovery. I spent my first career in politics. I was a member of the Congress, the US Congress.
Okay.
A high-stress career, needless to say. Elective politics is not only a contact sport, it's become a blood sport.
Definitely seems that way. No
and then another 30 some odd years in a global business that required flying around the world and coping with jet lag and eating on airplanes and all the stress that goes with that. So my youngest son, actually 7 years ago, he said, he was always very physically fit, but he said, there's something different about yoga. You need to try it. So I did. And frankly, I started just to be able to touch my toes again, because I've always been a runner and doing things to stay fit. And you get stiffer and you can't touch your toes anymore. But I started discovering after about a year of doing this, my goodness, my brain is feeling really calm and different. And this is really doing something much broader than just me being able to touch my toes again. So I decided, out of my own experience, I'm going to write a book about this. So it took me 13 months. And I discovered, to your question, the real magic in yoga and meditation is the impact on your brain. We are born with what I call a Walgreens in our head, or a CVS in our head, depending on where you go. 4 feel-good chemicals, serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, and oxytocin. And so a practice of yoga meditation stimulates our vagus nerve, that is pronounced like Las Vegas, but it's spelled V-A-G-U-S, and the vagus nerve attaches to the 10th cranial in our brain, goes down both sides all the way to our toes. When you are stressed and anxious all the time, there's a fifth chemical, cortisol, which is what neuroscience refers to as our fight or flight response. So if you're walking through a parking lot late at night and you see someone that looks threatening, that is a constructive use of cortisol. It warns you, be on guard.
Right.
Watch out for yourself. However, in a life that is constantly stressed and anxious, that vagus nerve, which again attaches to your brain, runs all the way to your toes, through your heart, lungs, blood, your colon, your prostate, all the way to your toes. It's carpet bombing every organ in your body with cortisol.
Right.
And so once you become acutely or chronically stressed and you're getting this constant bombardment of cortisol, it creates premature aging, it creates cancers and a lot of other destructive things. So the magic in yoga meditation is in the brain, accessing that vagus nerve, stimulating it, and distributing that Walgreens pharmacy that God gave us when we were born.
Okay, so it definitely sounds like one of the big messages that you're trying to get across is that stress is...
It's a killer.
But it more so seems like that stress is really like where it all stems from. Like people's vices, like overeating, all of that.
Yeah.
And it seems like that in yoga, you've definitely found a way to very much combat that, very much calm the body, the mind, the spirit, all of that.
Excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. So Patanjali, the first one to write about this topic 2,500 years ago, said the purpose of yoga is to calm the agitated mind. Now in the West, because we have these stereotypes of pictures we've seen of these very fit young females that can put their legs up behind their head and do things that men can't do. We think, well, no one like me does yoga, I can't try that.
Sure.
And we stereotype it as being a physical exercise. And you do get enormous physical benefits from it. You do get stronger, you do get more flexible, you do get more balanced. But the stress and anxiety in the mind is what leads to every act of violence. Wars are born in the minds of some man. Any act of violence begins with an idea in the mind. And so calming an agitated mind is the primary purpose of this. Now, the Dalai Lama, and I'm quoting him on the inner leaf of my book, says that we can teach every 8-year-old to meditate. We can cure the planet of violence in 1 generation. It's just a graphic way to illustrate that every antisocial act that anybody commits starts with if somebody gets angry, somebody gets jealous, something makes you mad, you get into a road rage incident, so there truly is magic in this.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's definitely what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like you're a prime example.
Exactly, exactly.
Is this guy more in terms of like a total overall lifestyle change, or is this more of like an introductory, like, hey, these are the building blocks to getting to the point that you want to get, or is this the complete overhaul?
It is not a complete overhaul. That's another very good question. So mindfulness or yoga and meditation in America is an elite activity practiced mostly by white females who can afford to pay for yoga instruction. That's according to Yoga Journal, which is the best source of statistics on this. In a country of 320 million, in the midst, again, of an unprecedented mental and physical health crisis. So I'm focused on the other 88%.
Right.
That 40 million represents 12% of the population.
Right.
I'm focused on men who I think is not macho enough, like I thought for 40 years. I thought I need to be, doing weight training and out running 5 miles.
Yeah.
Or they will think, as I did, that I can't do what the women can do and I'll be embarrassed if I go. Seniors who think they're too old. I've got an 88-year-old Marine veteran of World War II in Korea who does chair yoga 3 times a week still, and says it's just been magic in his life. He's calmer, he doesn't have arthritis anymore, and so forth. Stressed out teens and kids and college students who are the first generation to have to deal with the positive and negative impacts of social media. When we're teenagers all behave the same.
Sure.
Bullying and name calling and all the things that we've all done. The other problem is it's cyberbullying now.
Right.
You can do it anonymously and body shame someone and say horrible things about them and just completely ruin their lives. And one of the reasons teen suicide rates are rising the way they are. So far, men, to your question, men, seniors, and kids and teens and college students, African Americans and Hispanics. So in the book, I've got examples from all of those 5 demographics that make up that 88%. And so this is for the beginner. This book is for the beginner. It is not, although I bet there's one chapter on how to do yoga and another chapter on how to meditate.
Okay.
It's not a how-to book. It's why you should do it book.
Okay. More of an informative and more of a, hey, this is what you're going through.
Exactly.
Okay, got
You
it.
can go to Barnes & Noble and find all kinds of great illustrated books on how to do it.
Right.
And I hope you will. But the first thing you got to buy into is that this can help me.
And this is how it will.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
living a stressed and anxious life. I'm tired of the pills and the alcohol or
Right.
cookies, cakes, and pies, whatever I'm doing. And I want to find a way to do this that doesn't require me to damage my health.
Okay. And you said the research process on this was how long?
13 months. Well, actually, funny story. I didn't. That wasn't all pouring through manuals and research. That was a total writing. Funny thing, I had such a passion for this, and I still have such a passion for it. I submitted the first manuscript in 40 days. The book publisher called me and said, "You write like you spent your whole life in politics and business." I said, "Well, I completely give it that one." "What do you mean?" He said, "You got to remember one thing. Facts tell, stories sell." So because of my business and political background, I was, hammering out all the facts.
Right.
As opposed to illustrating that here's how this has changed people's lives. Here's the story of the 88-year-old Marine I was telling you about.
Right.
As opposed to just saying seniors ought to do yoga.
Yeah.
Here's an illustration. So I went back and rewrote it and told a lot more stories,
Yeah. Okay. Something that people can kind of grab
Exactly.
onto. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Awesome. And now it's an Amazon bestseller.
So it's the #1 Amazon bestseller, the Kindle version is. And
Okay.
but by the way, as I mentioned when we started, I didn't write this to sell books.
Sure.
I will sell you a book if you want to buy one, but I will give you a free downloadable copy if you email me at Alan Steelman at tx.rr.com.
Okay.
And then the Kindle version, of course, as I said, is available on Amazon. And they can get this on my website, which is alansteelman.net.
Okay.
And I will personally inscribe it with a message and send to them.
Awesome. And if you guys do want to pick that up, we're going to post all of the links that he just mentioned in the description of the video down here below. So you guys can definitely go pick up a copy. And yeah, it was great to talk to you. Definitely appreciate it. Appreciate you having the time to sit down and talk with us. So
Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
All right. And until next time, this is Mike from Dallas Geek. Take care, guys.